Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Avini night here. We have a very special guest tonight. We're grateful that you took the time to join us. And today is August 22nd. And again, I see this little family is growing here because the news of Avini is something, I don't know about you, but I just can't keep it inside of me. I just want to share with every loved one I have and every person that I care about. Just so you know, we do not make medical claims here. So if you would just, keep that in mind. And if you'd like to mute your screen, you can. And at the end, Doug will, after his presentation, Doug will answer a few questions, and we'll look forward again to hearing from Doug Dickey. He's the vice president at Avini Health and probably one of the most knowledgeable people I know now in my new world. And I thank you, Doug, for being with us. So without further ado, I'm just going to turn it over to you. And thank you, Doug, for being here.
Yes, absolutely. So again, my name's Doug Dickey. I am Vice President of Sales for Avini Health. And I want to start out a little different tonight. I want to show a video. It's a third-party company called nutritionfacts.org. They've done a really good job putting together a video. You'll have to be really quiet to listen and hear the video. Hopefully it's loud enough. So I'm going to share my screen. Again, this is just about 5 minutes. And here we go.
When people hear arsenic, they think of it as an acute poison, and indeed, a tiny amount, 100 milligrams, could kill you in an hour. That's like the weight of a tenth of a paperclip. But there's also chronic arsenic poisoning, where even a dose 10,000 times as small can be harmful if you're exposed day after day for years at a time. Chief among the concerns is cancer. Arsenic is classified as a class 1 carcinogen. That's the highest level. Things known to cause cancer in humans, alongside stuff like asbestos, cigarette smoke, formaldehyde, plutonium, processed meat, consumption of bacon, ham, hot dogs, and lunch meat. So arsenic is pretty bad stuff. Implicated in tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of cancer cases worldwide every year. Of course, cancer is just our number 2 killer. What about heart disease? Long-term exposure to low to moderate arsenic levels was also found associated with cardiovascular attacks and strokes. Arsenic is also considered an immunotoxicant, meaning toxic to our immune system. How do we know that? Well, there's a virus called varicella, which is what causes chickenpox the first time we get it. Our immune system is able to stamp it down, but not stamp it out. The virus retreats into our nerve cells, where it lies in wait for our immune function to dip. And when it does, the virus reemerges and causes a disease called shingles. We've all been exposed to the virus, but only about 1 in 3 of us will get shingles because our immune system is able to keep it at bay. But as we get older or immunosuppressed, the virus can slip its muzzle, like if you're given arsenic chemotherapy. Shingles is a common side effect because the arsenic drugs not only kill the cancer, but also some of your immune cells too. But that's at high doses. Might even low doses of arsenic, like the kind we're exposed to in our daily diet, impact our immune function? We didn't know until this study, in which thousands of Americans had the levels of arsenic in their urine tested, along with their level of indeed, the more arsenic they had flowing through their bodies, the lower their defenses. And if you're pregnant, arsenic can pass to your baby and may not just increase the risk of miscarriage and infant mortality, but may also affect an infant's immune development and susceptibility to infections early in life. But you don't know until you put it to the test. Infant infections in relation to prenatal arsenic exposure in a study out of New Hampshire. And indeed, the more arsenic the mom was exposed to during pregnancy, the higher risk of infection during infancy. though it's unknown whether arsenic-induced changes in gene expression can impact the health of not only your children, but your grandchildren as well. Regardless, arsenic exposure isn't good for mom's own health associated with increasing blood pressure. If arsenic suppresses immune system function, though, then at least maybe as a silver lining, you get fewer allergies or something, which is kind of an overreaction to the immune system. Apparently not. Those with higher arsenic levels tend to have higher rates of food allergies, tend to not sleep as well, tend to not feel as well. If you ask people how they would rate their health, those reporting excellent or very good tended to have lower levels of arsenic, compared to those who just reported good, fair, or poor, they tended to have higher levels. What about diabetes? Here's 24 population studies on arsenic exposure and confirmed diabetes. Any result over one suggests low risk, and here are the results, suggesting an association between ingested arsenic and diabetes. But population studies can't prove cause and effect. While it'd be nice to demonstrate a cause and effect relationship, is it necessary? Look, we know it's a carcinogen. We know it causes cancer. What more do we need to take steps to decrease our exposure?
I wanted to share that because last time you went and talked to your doctor about your blood sugar issues, told you that arsenic exposure was one of the main factors in blood sugar issues, or heart disease, or stroke, right? Who here knew that they had studies showing that heavy metals increased your susceptibility to infection, and on and on. The strangest thing for me has been to find out a lot of what I believed is not true. That here are these heavy metals that are in pesticides, they're in fertilizers, they're in chicken feed, pig feed. They add them as electrolytes into lots of the places. So we are inundated with all kinds of toxins. Heavy metals, to be specific, cadmium. There's 10 videos on nutritionfacts.org just about arsenic and cadmium. And if you Google arsenic or cadmium and cancer or heart disease and look at how many hundreds of thousands of studies are done showing connections between the two. So what I found really interesting is when you put it in perspective, it sort of changes your whole view on stuff. So I'm going to share another screen here. Let me make sure I get the right one. Oh, how do I do this? Here we are. All right, so I want to show you this here. I had it set up a second ago and then it just kind of went. All right, here we go. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. Our environment is killing us. And I want to read something to you. There we go. You guys can see that, correct? The past few years have brought with it many challenges and health concerns. It turns out that many, if not all, of the health issues causing people to feel exhausted, stressed, sick, and even suffering from illness may have links to heavy metal toxicity, chemicals, and volatile organic compounds. This massive increase in obesity caused by the same heavy metals, chemicals, and toxins ingested through our food, water, air on a daily basis. These toxins are known to interfere with normal cellular mechanisms like protein synthesis, metabolism, and are even known to cause changes to our DNA over multiple generations. Some of these toxins can harm us through endocrine disruption, brain fog, kidney damage, liver damage, cancer, weight gain, and more. Anybody venture a guess who it was that said that? That's the National Institute of Health. That's their statement on heavy metals and toxins. They even put together a list of symptoms and results of chronic toxic exposure. Chronic meaning 1 or 2 small amounts every single day, year after year, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you now have health concerns, and it's through that toxic exposure. Abdominal pain, diarrhea, dehydration, cancer, brain damage, arrhythmias. Know anybody that has a heart arrhythmia? Anemia, kidney damage, liver damage, miscarriages, tremors, scratchy throat, numbness, weight gain, weight loss. Lots. The list is actually 4 pages long. This is just a small graphic from that. What can we do about it? Right? We are living in a toxic world. The foods that we consume are harmful to us, at least the toxins that are in those foods. And so what can we do? And that's what Avini Health is all about. And that's where my experience came in. So Avini Health has, let me just check something here. Okay. So Avini Health, at Avini Health was because we needed to find, we needed to get the word out about heavy metals and toxins and what they do. So just kind of stepping back a little bit, I'm 55 years old now. When I was 27, I'd been working at a pest control firm for about 2 years. And a guy came in one morning, and I came in one morning, he's sitting on a little cushion, and I made a joke about it, that he had to sit on this little cushion. And he told me that he had had his colon removed that weekend. And so before I could apologize, the guy next to him said, yep, had part of my colon removed. It just went down the line, each one of them making the statement about surgeries they'd had or something they had done. Come to find out, none of them could see the pattern but me. I quit that day because I was having all kinds of issues. I ended up going into nutrition, not choosing the colostomy bag and the surgery. After 10 years of committing to nutritious food, exercise, all of these things, thinking that I had gotten well because I felt great, I still had this thing growing in my colon. And 10 years later, I was sicker than I was 10 years earlier, even doing everything the right way. So I gave up. I said, okay, if this is my destiny, then so be it. And so the next 10 to 15 years was just simply until the end, until I was introduced to the product that's in our Cell Defender. And I started taking that product on a daily basis, hourly basis, actually, shake up the bottle, put about 10 drops in my mouth. And I did that for week after week after week. And by week 8, I had had such incredible health gains that it was just, it was life-changing for me. And sold through another company. That company then had some financial issues, like the owner was indicted and needed to take everybody's money and leave. And so that made it so the product was unavailable. And I was really worried for my own health. And so it went to another company. 9 months later, that company was trashed. And so we started Avini as a solid company, debt-free, to be here always to get the products out. And we wanted to build something that is not scammy, that is true and has heart and has a purpose. And so that's what we built Avini for. And so I'll go through the products real quick. If anybody wants to share an experience, if anybody has an experience with a product, I'll give you a little bit of time to share that. And we'll go through these products pretty quick. Before I start, anybody have any quick questions?
And if you do, what you might want to do is raise your
Yeah,
hand, and I can help you admin it, okay?
there you go. All right, so we're going to go on to Cell Defender. So Cell Defender is our tip of the spear product. It is the most important product. Rick Deitch, our biochemist, was an inventor of chemotherapies at Duke Cancer Research Institute. And he come across this material called zeolite. People have heard of zeolites. It's a type of volcanic rock that when it gets thrown in the air, it's still hot, lands in salt water, it creates this negatively charged zeolite. There's lots of zeolites. He thought it's too big to get into the bloodstream, but if I could make it small enough, less than a micron, if I could also clean all the toxins that have gone into the zeolite over the last few million years, maybe I could get it into the blood. It would grab the chemotherapy after the chemotherapy had done its work, and then would take it out via the urine channel. There's 800 years of people consuming zeolites safely. It's been studied by the government for 100 years. It's put in some certain pet feed. And so he thought if I could figure out a way to do this, and he did. He invented machinery, he invented processes to clean it, and in 7 years, he had this product under a different name at the time. And it's a miracle that he took something natural and made it to the right size and shape, cleaned it out, that we can take this, as I just did from the bottle, goes into my bloodstream, passively flows everywhere my blood and my lymphatic fluid flow. It grabs mercury, arsenic, lead, pulls them in passively into the cage, and it binds them away. So they can't get calcium and magnesium and potassium alone. Those are very, very lightly charged metals. And so it grabs the toxins. Within 8 hours, it's made its way through the liver, pulling these toxins with it. It makes it through the kidney, and it's out through your urine, out of your body forever, never leaving that cage again. That's the power of Cell Defender. We've actually trade named the technology of making this zeolite small, detoxylite. So to separate it from every other person who buys 5 pounds of zeolite online, dirt, puts it in bottles with water and calls it just like our product, which has more than 14 clinical studies on it. Nobody else has a study. Nobody else has a product that has been cleaned, micronized, and activated. So really, really special technology. And it has the ability to do lots of neat things in the body, alkalinizing the blood, triggering. There's 2 studies out there that show that clinoptil light is able.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
We couldn't hear you there for about 30 seconds.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it says my internet connection's unstable. I have kids probably on their gaming systems. Anyways, so the ability to remove these toxins, absolutely amazing. And so Cell Defender is what we suggest people take right off the bat to remove the arsenic and the cadmium and the lead and the mercury and the things that are coming in through our food, through our diet, even organic diet, as well as air and water as well as through absorption. So it's really important in today's life that you take responsibility for your health and consume like Cell Defender to remove these toxins that are coming in. Anybody have anything they'd like to share on Cell Defender? Okay, Kara, you have to unmute.
Okay. So yeah, so Cell Defender for me, it really changed my life. So in January, I had surgery. I had bad cells on my shoulder, top of, well, kind of the back side of my shoulder, and they had to dig it out, cut it out, and skin graft. And they didn't get it all, so I had to go through it again. So it was a second surgery, and I wasn't being able to eat because I was in chronic pain. I can't take pain pills, so I couldn't do anything around the pain, but be in pain. So, and then you don't want to eat when you're in chronic pain, and I couldn't sleep because I had to sleep sitting up. So if I touched that, I was in a panic and a sweat. So, and my dear friend, Christine Rolando, she knew what was going on for me. And she sent me the Plus Relief for the pain. And then she was like, Carol, I've got another product I want you to be on. Obviously, you have a toxic body. And so I got the Cell Defender. And in 4 days, guys, I was up out of bed. I was going up and down the stairs. I was eating again. I run 2 programs, one in Africa and one in North America, and it was coming up in a month and a half. And I just told my roommate Susan that I don't know how I'm going to deliver these programs. I'm so weak, and I had hardly any voice because I was so weak. And I said, Susan, I feel like I'm 90 in my body. And then Cell Defender comes along, and she's like, Carol, whoa, what's going on? And I said, well, I'm taking the Cell Defender, and I took it pretty strong doses of it. And within 4 days, I knew I was going to be able to deliver my courses in a month and a half, and I knew I wasn't going to shut up about this product.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move on to Zimmunity. When the Cell Defender is pulling these toxins out of the bloodstream and the lymphatic system, it's extracellular, it doesn't go inside the cells in any way. When it's pulling these toxins out, the blood homeostasis changes, your electrolytes change. Mercury is an amazing electrolyte, so is lead and arsenic. And so what happens is as those disappear into the cage and are going to be removed from the body, find other electrolytes in tissue or bone or fat, and will bring it into the bloodstream. Now that's really good because it reaches homeostasis for the electrolytic gradient, but it's bad as your body may have a response due to the new mercury coming in the blood. Now the body thinks it's being poisoned again. So it may give you a Herxheimer effect or other issues where you feel sick. Zimmunity mushrooms has 7 medicinal mushrooms that are grown in a specific pattern that stresses them. So they concentrate something called 1,3,1,6 beta glucans. And you can Google beta glucans, amazing what they do, help with the heart, help with cleaning the blood, they help with fighting disease, things like that. But one of the most important things is they turn off the body's auto hyperimmune switch. So oftentimes when your body thinks it's being poisoned, it will overreact. The hyperactivity of the immune system can make you feel sick for a week or 2. Zimmunity mushrooms, if you're taking them while you're taking Cell Defender, it stops that response. We have people who say, I'm sneezing, I've been on Zimmunity 3 days, and I'm no longer sneezing. I'm no longer having these responses to allergies that they typically have. Don't notice much other than that unless you have some immune issues. Then you may notice some amazing things. This stuff is an incredible product. Also has our cleaned clinoptiloli in it, and it just helps the whole body's immune system strengthen. So we suggest taking this with Cell Defender, 1 in the morning, 1 at night, or 2 in the morning, 2 at night. Anybody want to share something on that real quick? All right, let's move to the fiber. So one of the things that when I first started to get healthy, my resting heart rate had been 87 beats per minute, about 20 breaths a minute, and my oxygen was about 82. That was before taking the product. After 6 weeks of taking just Cell Defender, that was the only product I had at the time, 52 years old at the time, my resting heart rate moved to 67. My breaths per 100%. It was really a huge change. I had more energy. I had more clarity. I'd come out of depression. Lots of changes to my body I could not explain. And so as I have continued, now my resting heart rate is 57, and I'm 55 years old now. So I have the resting heart rate of a 30-year-old athlete. I don't feel 60 or 70 or 90, as you had mentioned, anymore. Or I feel 30. I've taken enough Cell Defender for long enough that it's removed the toxins out of my bloodstream and out of my endocrine system, out of the glands. So that's all working really, really well. But I still have a 55-year-old looking body. I wish it looked like a 30-year-old athlete. But it takes time to remove the toxins. And part of that is because we're consuming on a regular basis so much. And so I tried to figure out how much is it that we're taking in on a regular daily basis. And I found some information that said everybody has an excretion rate. Everybody excretes some levels of toxins. Some are better and some are worse. Everything's labeled towards your excretion rate. So they suggest that if you eat really well, you're consuming about 3 times the amount of toxins, either the 70,000 chemicals out there, the endocrine disruptive and metabolism disruptive chemicals, or heavy metals. You're consuming 3 times your excretion rate. So you're going backwards if you're eating very, very well. I do not eat that well, so I'm probably going backwards 5 times. So we have a study that showed that taking Cell Defender, 10 drops in the morning, 10 drops at night. It was done on West Virginia coal miners, arguably some of the most toxic people in the world. They tracked 15 times, so with 2 droppers a day over a 3-month period of time, they tracked all of the metals, all the toxins leaving. And so if you're removing 15 times and you're consuming 5 times, it's going to take a long time. You just work the numbers. It's going to take years to remove the toxins from your body. And so that's the powerful thing, is we can remove these toxins, and over time, through simple supplement of this product, through getting it through other supplement products we have, you'll be able to remove that. But what if you could stop it on the way in? Improve the leaky gut. Fiber that has 3 whole food components in it is energized with inulin, which is a fructooligosaccharide, or a sugar that thinks it's a fiber. That feeds only probiotic bacteria. The anaerobic bacteria and stuff die off very quickly within a couple weeks. You now have an energy source for the bacteria to chew on the fiber and produce butyrates, which is the energy source for healing your intestinal tract. Your intestinal tract's only 1 or 2 cells thick, and butyrate is the common food source for your intestinal tract. Very difficult to get it in your body. There's a tributylin product, there's all kinds of products, but they get consumed through the stomach before they ever get to the right place in the gut. The best way is to have them made by taking the right amount of fiber, the right fibers, and the right energy source for feeding the probiotic bacteria. And that's what this product does. It's most incredible. It tries to fix the gut very, very quickly. And it has 200 milligrams of zeolite in it also. So it's removing the metals until they get into your body. So we believe that taking Avini fiber, you can remove many of these toxins and lower that number down to 0.
I'm sorry.
Any questions or thoughts on that?
Jim, do you want to jump in? Jim
You talking to
Carroll?
me?
Yeah,
Jim
Jim
Carroll?
Carroll. You want to share your experience?
Yeah, I've got a recent experience. I just came upon Ed Kwanski recently, and wasn't even thinking about Avini. He and I had a baseball connection at a party. I heard his testimonial, and I was just trying to get I changed doctors, and I was just trying to get healthier. And I went from one doctor to another. And I didn't realize this till I talked to Ed not too long ago. I had a real success story, blood sugar levels. But what I didn't tell anybody before was I had a bad level for a long time. So I was going to get healthy, going to go to the gym, going to try the Upteenth diet and go to the Mediterranean diet. That was my doctor's advice. And I'd been on every other diet there is, keto and South Beach, and what's the other one? All the meat, Atkins. I've done all the diets, but my blood sugar never improved. And I'd lose some weight. And I'm an ex-baseball guy in college, and I coached in college and high school baseball, and thinking I was going to be athletic and just put a little extra push on, get in shape, start running a little bit. And then my blood sugar levels would not change, even though I was losing weight on occasion. I'd lose weight, get healthier, but my blood sugar levels weren't much. So this doctor said, why don't you try the Mediterranean diet? It's a healthy long-term lifestyle change, and I like it. And then also, go to the gym, and I was going to do this. I told him what I had done. He said, well, let's try that for a while. And at the same time, I started taking Avini, and mostly by just stroke of luck, accident, running across Ed. And I started taking it at the same time, period of about 8 to 10 weeks. I lost about 35 pounds on this newfound diet, so I thought. And I was taking all the Avini products you just mentioned, fiber, and the silver as well. And I was staying true to it, the mushrooms. And my doctors had wanted to go over my blood work that I had. He goes, we're gonna review your blood work. And he said, and jokingly, he said, we took your blood today, but I don't know if it's yours. Sure, it's yours. And I said, okay, I hope it's mine. And he came back, and the levels of A1C that they measure your blood sugar levels need to be somewhere below 7 or 8. If you're 7 or 8, you're tagged as type 2 diabetic. Type 2, and I'd been that way for a long time, no matter how much weight I'd lost or diet or whatever. Lose some weight, and I'd still have 7 or 8. Now, if you get around the 6 range, you're going in the right direction. but I was above 8 with my doctor I had prior. And all he did was say, okay, you got metformin at 500 milligrams. Let's run 1,000 milligrams of metformin. I don't need to do that, but I did it. Then I said, I'm going to, just by chance, I changed doctors in the same outfit, Baptist Health, same outfit, different doctor, younger guy. And he said, try the Mediterranean diet, do all this, eat twice a day between 10 and noon, and then before 4:30 or 5, and then fast the rest of the day, at least for a while. So I did what the doctor told me, and I took my Avini, which I didn't tell him about yet. I took all the Avini, and when I got back to get my blood work done, he said, this is crazy. He goes, and my wife was in Alaska, and she wanted to be in on the call, and we got her on the phone, so she didn't think I was lying to her. And the doctor, wow, this is phenomenal. Like, well, okay, great. Does that mean I'm in good shape or what? And he said, your A1C is now 5.5.
Wow, thank you,
5.5.
Jim.
He goes, that's perfect. And I didn't, when he told me all that, I didn't think about how bad it was for so long. It's just that I was now on this new Mediterranean diet and patting myself on the back a little bit, but I forgot about the Avini all along. And the Avini, I mean, it wasn't coincidence to me. The
Nope.
Avini and all that I was taking, I got a 5.5, no longer in that classification of high blood sugar.
Thank you,
So,
Jim. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate you sharing that story.
yeah.
Absolutely incredible, these products we have. I'm going to move on. I'll talk about silver real quick. I'm going to jump on to silver as he had mentioned it. You may have heard of colloidal silver in the past, maybe even nano silver or ionic silver. There's about 1 million people that have blue or gray skin from consuming colloidal silver, ionic silver, different types of silver. We have a spherical nano silver. This is the only product in the world, it's a silver and only water, that has been tested to be removed from your body in 24 hours. This product is 7 to 10 nanometer spheres that basically interact with virus glycoprotein receptors and bacteria, parasites, and basically stop them from being able to attack you. And it disables them. Absolutely incredible. It travels outside of your cells. It doesn't interfere in the cells at all. And it leaves your body via the urine in 24 hours. The testimonies we have on the silver, we have hundreds of them. Absolutely incredible. Beneficial to your body, cannot harm you a bit. And so we have it in a 4-ounce bottle. We suggest you on the bottle, it says spray twice a day, 5 times in your mouth, or you can just open the cap and drink it. So I suggest 1 ounce once a week. There's some magical things that happen if you just drink 1 ounce once a week. Anybody have a quick story, a 1-minute story they'd like to share on the silver? Yes, Carol.
Okay, so yes, the silver, I decided that I wanted to take it because I have an ongoing cough. And I was exposed to black mold in working out in a room that was full of black mold, and it really affected my lungs. And so my respiratory, I was really struggling with a lot. And whenever I get sick, it was always my respiratory. And so I told Chip that I got the nano silver and that I was, doing the 5 sprays. And he goes, well, he said, Carol, and I told him I was starting to like cough stuff up. And he said, Carol, he said, do you want to move it along a little faster? And I said, okay. And he goes, well, just take a sip of it, like a little swig of it every day. And I was like, okay. So I started doing that. And well, within one bottle of it, I'm on my third bottle. Within one bottle of it, I coughed up so much stuff, so much infection, so much stuff. I felt like a cat coughing up fur balls. It was so, oh, it was absolutely amazing. Then my third bottle, I started getting rid of parasites. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I was saying, I don't have parasites. No. Oh yeah. Dead ones though.
Yeah. We
So
we
yes,
have we
I
have
swear
some,
by it.
oh, fantastic. Every time I go on a trip, I take a ounce or two and drink it just to protect my body. Think of all the things that are trying to harm our body that are dead. That's what the cell defender's purpose is, to remove those things. And then those things that are alive that are wanting to harm your body, that's what the spherical nanosilver is for. And I just wrote in one of our newsletters, I wrote a 3-page breakdown of why our silver is better than any other silver out there. And it breaks it down. I read a little over 100 studies, and there's just clear information about what the benefits are. And as we mentioned here, it's antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, antiparasitic, molds, mildews, things like that. Very beneficial. I'm going to jump to plus relief. Anybody plus relief? By raise a hand. This is Rick Deitch's passion. He had found out that there are venoms out there that are turned into medicines. There's 31 medicines that are based off of venom. And so he started studying one called a cone snail, but it's very difficult to get the venom out of it. And he was also looking into MS and Lou Gehrig's disease. He has another company that has, it's in second level FDA studies for MS and Lou Gehrig's. And it is a concentrated version of the plus relief, about 10,000 times more concentrated. But this helps shut down inflammatory pathways and pain through something called the acetylcholine receptor. Very, very important. If you have big pain or inflammation, you can put this gel on the skin, let it stay wet, do that 2 or 3 or 4 times, and it becomes incredibly strong at turning off that pain. Absolutely based on a peptide from a type of Thailand single monocled cobra. And very safe. They get rid of all the venom portion of it, and they just keep the peptides. So really incredible product, as Carol was talking about with the plus relief. So these are some of our products. We have a product called Plus Energy. I'm running out of time here. Plus Energy is based on something called ADX7. You guys have heard of Siberian ginseng. Well, back in the late 80s, the Russian scientists for the Olympics found 7 cofactors that were able to break open the focus ability and the energy that comes out of Siberian ginseng. You can take it. It will give you energy and focus for about 6 hours. It's got guarana to fuel it. That's the caffeine, the natural caffeine. But it also has L-theanine, an amino acid that turns off the jitteriness that comes with caffeine. Incredible product. Also has zeolite in it, our detox light. Very powerful for your to give you focus and energy. We also have Cell Defender and Plus Relief for pets. Imagine walking around on your hands and knees all day, then licking your hands and knees. Imagine how many toxins you would have get into your system. So our pets get these toxins. We know that they die at 6 or 7 or 8 years from liver and kidney issues. So what kind of benefit for our pets if we're removing those heavy metals and chemicals that they get from walking on the lawn and around on the pavement, as well as plus relief. There are no medicines out there that are safe for dogs and cats. These are absolutely safe. They reduce inflammation. We've given them to dogs, and older dogs that are just barely walking, and they're running around the next day. Absolutely beneficial for them. And so we have that. And then I'll touch on the last one. Trim Science, its purpose is to, if we go on a diet, sometimes our body fights us. It wants to keep the fat that we're trying to lose. And in fact, if you slow down at all, you gain all this fat back. Those, they found, are things called obesogens. Obesogens are chemicals, toxins, and heavy metals that trigger your DNA to make more fat. Tells your liver, produce more fat. So your body gets in a fat building system. Trim Science is a drink, either in hot chocolate, coffee, matcha tea, or lemonade, that you can take on a daily basis, a couple times a day, small teeny scoop. Taste wonderful, unless of course we're talking about matcha. It tastes like grass. But if you take it on a regular basis, it turns off those obesogen switches. So your body will start burning through fat if you are doing things to lose weight. It helps stop your body from fighting against you. And that's the really powerful thing with this product. Nobody else has this. I actually put out a slip in one of the first, in the first newsletter in April, that breaks down all the ingredients. There's hundreds of studies on each of the ingredients. Absolutely incredible. And so that kind of rounds out our products. Any questions before we move on? I want to jump through a few things here. Any questions from anybody?
I think Cindy has her hand up. Cindy, you have a question? You have your hand up, Cindy, on iPhone. There's two Cindys.
She might have just been saying yes, she agreed
Okay.
earlier.
All right, let's see.
I have a question, Douglas. I'm raising my hand, but I don't think you can see me.
All right, go ahead.
It's Janelle. So do you have any studies talking about interactions of your products with other common medications?
Yeah, very good question. We have 0 studies because there are 0 contraindications with any medicines whatsoever. We've done Rick in the very beginning when he was putting this product out, did a search of certain mechanisms. Because the cell defender is seen by the body as dirt, we're talking specifically about it doesn't interact with the cells in any way. Your body has dirt in it all the time, through foods that we eat, through absorption, through the intestinal tract. If it's small enough, it passively flows in. And so what happens is there's a really good benefit to this. If you go on a detox and your cells, let's say you have 12 street tacos with whatever that stuff is, I can't think of the name, the little green stuff you put in the tacos, that can trigger your cells to detox. And now you have all kinds of toxins that flow into the bloodstream and are flowing towards your liver. Remember, any toxins released into the bloodstream, is that taking away the stress on your liver, or is that adding more stress? So normal detox can cause more stress on your liver. But let's say you have the zeolite flowing through your bloodstream and your lymphatic system, and it captures those toxins on the way to the liver, because it's flowing around every 5 minutes. The blood flows through your liver again, and it captures it. When it goes to the liver's like, oh my gosh, more dirt, passes right through because the toxins are bound inside. And then it goes to the kidneys. Kidneys are like, oh my gosh, more dirt. And it kicks it out through the bladder and out through the urine. So it's the fact that it's a natural substance. It's not man-made. It's been sized and cleaned and activated by our biochemist, but it's still a natural substance that the body is used to. And the urine. That's one of the amazing miracles of the technology of what Rick has done. Being able to clean out these small particles of dirt. Imagine the smallest, finest talcum powder. That's 40 microns. These particles are half a micron, 80 times smaller, to be able to go in the bloodstream, lymphatic system, grab this junk, and leave the body. So really, really amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. And to another question related to that, as you said, it was a natural product. You'd made a comment earlier that we last 800 years people consuming zeolite. Can you unpack that a little bit more, please?
Sure. There's a group called the geophasics. You can Google them. They've been consuming it over 800 years. They eat it with every meal. Handfuls of clinoptilolite specifically. There's lots of zeolites. There's 57 of them. Some of them are highly toxic. But clinoptilolite has been used by the Navy as a air cleaner on submarines. We use it in water filtration. We use it in feed to remove mycotoxins from the feed of a lot goats and other things. There's been thousands of studies done showing anything that goes into it's not going to come back out again. But if it's already full, how much can it help you? Right? If you're taking a zeolite that you get from Amazon for $5 and you take it's too big to go into your bloodstream, so it's just going to clean out your gut. Well, you could take activated charcoal. You could take bentonite. You could eat lots of things that'll help clean out your gut. But to get into the bloodstream, not interact with cells or cellular function stream, and then be kicked out, having removed all kinds of toxins with it, there is only one, and that's Cell Defender. And that's the real power of what we have. That's why people have these amazing results that they've never seen. That's why we have, several thousand people that we're not supposed to live the next 6 or 8 weeks and are doing amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Deanna Love, you're next.
Okay. So I do take the product and I'm wondering, so I have a sugar intake problem. So it started out with like pure white sugar packages, and I called myself like downsizing to now I eat packages of raw sugar. But I'm just trying to see, will the product still help me, or what is the best way, but I'm not trying to say that word, but the best way or dosages in the products do you think would help me, or maybe help curb appetite?
Let me answer that question. When I first started, so my adrenals, this is what I've found. When the liver becomes overwhelmed with toxins, it has over 500 duties in regulating sugar and proteins, glucagon, and many, many things. Over 500 things it's supposed to do. It doesn't show a specific harm enzyme until it's down to about 5 things. So that means there's 455 things, or 495 things not being done. When it gets overwhelmed because of toxins, it produces a stress hormone, and that stress hormone triggers the adrenal glands to start making hormones for the pancreas and the thyroid and other things that the liver's used to doing. When the adrenals are doing that, they are in what we call fight or flight, meaning that they burn, instead of your body burning fat as its main food source, 80% fat and 20%. And then when you start to run and exercise, it switches. You start consuming more glycogen instead of fat. Well, my body was burning glycogen at rest. And I took several things where you breathe, they put you on a machine, and showed that my body was burning 95% sugar. I only burned some fats when I was running. And they told me, your adrenal glands think you're dying. They are stuck, and they were stuck for 10 years. So my diet was about 32 ounces of Coca-Cola a day, a couple fast food meals, and at least 2 or 3 chocolate bars. I know it sounds awful, but it's the only thing that kept me going.
Right.
If I didn't get sugar, I would just pass out. Okay. So hypoglycemia. I couldn't producing a lot of smell. Okay. My gas, I could clear an open air stadium with my gas, and I would stink. I'd have to shower 3 or 4 times a day. When I started on Cell Defender, this is all I had, and I was taking it hourly, about 10 to 15 drops. I promised myself that if there was still an ounce in here, if there was still any in here at 5 days, I would start on a new bottle. I'd purchase 15 bottles. My body by week 4 came out of fight or flight. All of a sudden, I'm not hungry. All of a sudden, I'm no longer depressed. Grand champion of the world pooper. I have not been a solid maker for 5 years, and I am standing grand champion.
Wow.
Things changed for me, but it was week 5 and 6 where I was urinating what looked like fire. It was awful smelling. Close my eyes, hold my breath. 2 weeks of that, and I was clear in my mind, tons of energy. I still only eat about 1,500 calories a day. I'm a 210-pound guy.
Okay.
I lost 22 pounds during those first 4 weeks. My body but I don't smell anymore. My gas doesn't have the odor it used to. I used to just sweat, awful smell. Those is a relationship between Candida, which is a yeast that lives in our gut that feeds off sugars and weakens us and weakens our glands. That will be driven off in 4 weeks, where your gas no longer has any smell and life just comes to life. I tell people Candida is eating sugar just like you are. And I tell people, when you're sitting down, if you run your hand to the outside of your right quad towards what we call the IT band, it attaches to the side of your knee and attaches to your hip. If it hurts to the touch, that is the sign that your liver is in incredible distress. Mine, I could not touch it. Within 3 weeks of being on Cell Defender, I was getting it massaged. It wasn't bothering me. So the liver is kind of the general of the body. And so it doesn't have a light to tell anybody, hey, I'm having issues. The liver is the only organ in the body that grows back if you cut it out. It is the most important gland. It runs everything. In Chinese medicine, it's called the general. It issues orders to every other endocrine gland, makes all the decisions. It tells the gut what to do. The gut tells the brain what to do. And as you start to learn about the liver, I spent 3 months because I had to understand why my body was able to balance its blood sugar, and I was still drinking 8 Cokes a day. And so what I suggest to you is get on the Cell Defender, get to the highest amount you can get on a daily basis, and go as long as you can.
Which would be how what is the highest amount? I don't like, if you tell
Yeah,
me.
so your body, great question. Your body can take about 10 drops in the bloodstream every hour. So
Okay.
set your watch to go beep. This will cost you $300 a month for this one product.
No,
It's the
I
best.
I have the product already,
There
and
you
I
go.
ordered some for my daughter. I don't know if she's going to use it. If not, I'm going to use it. So I'm
Do
just
you?
trying to get my
Yeah,
I'm trying to get my me together because I'm like, I'll be 50 in June, and
absolutely.
I noticed that my weight has, like, I know you guys probably can't see that well, but I'm not real big, but I'm used to being like 137, something like that. And I could never, it's like, oh, I gained weight. Now with the pandemic, I'm like 150, and it's just so new for me. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, so I don't know if it's the sugar or
Yeah, there's stress being in there also. Also with your kids, you cook food for them, right?
so all of I have 5 children. They're two of them are married. My youngest is 19. He just
Okay.
turned 19. So I don't, and he's the only one at home with me.
Right.
So I don't really
So
have to.
so I had somebody tell me I can't get my kids or grandkids to take the product. And I said, do
Mm,
they not eat cookies? And she
right?
goes, no, they love cookies. I go, then they're going to eat the product. This is a rock. You can heat it up in the oven, bake it in a cake,
Oh,
put it in a cookie, get it
oh,
into your kids. You don't have to tell them you're a mother. You don't have to tell anybody what you're doing. You just put it in the
right.
food. It's for their benefit. And
Okay.
you can get your whole family healthy, and they don't even have to know about it. I
Okay.
tell people all the time, you can cook with this. The fiber makes a great flour for some
Okay.
brownies, for some cake, whatever. Don't worry about the sugars. The
Can
most
I put
important
it in
thing,
a drink? Can I
what?
put it in a drink like a
Oh
little?
yeah. Yeah,
I'm
well,
making colostrum drinks. And so
sure.
my son, he's in mental health. And so that would be
Yes.
really good. Maybe I can put the drops in there. Okay.
100%. Yeah, send them with a care package of Oreo cookie or whatever type of cookies you want to make. So here's the cool thing. This is probably one of the most important things. Again, there was so many things that I believed that turned out not to be true. Or if they were true, they weren't true to me. And the most powerful thing is don't rush out and lose fat. Fat stores heavy metals and toxins. Your liver is trying to find a way to put these heavy metals and toxins it can't get rid of into a place where there's no blood flow. Your knee has damage and cartilage issues. Guess how many toxins the liver can store there? There's no blood flow there. Or your hip or your shoulder. I found it interesting. My knees stopped hurting. I used to make loud noises standing up and sitting that I no longer make. I can now get on the floor on my knees. I can wrestle around. I can get up and run a mile. I'm in so much better health than I was when I was 25 years old. And yet I still have an old 55-year-old body here. And so I tell people, don't worry about the fat. Get rid of the toxins, the chemicals, the dioxins, the toluene, the benzenes, tributyltin, organotins. Go online, just type in endocrine disruptive chemicals and just look at the list. It's in everything in your house. Did you know they spray a coating on aluminum foil? That's a plastic endocrine disruptive chemical, so that way it doesn't oxidize. They spray it on plastic. There's so much that you'll never get away from it. So how you do it is you remove it by just simply taking a dropper of this twice a day. And until you get healthy, go through a bottle as fast as you can. Take it everywhere. Take the fiber, take the silver, take the Immunity. 4 months. If you did it for 4 months, like I did, full dose, and then never did it again, you probably bought yourself 5 years. Is that amazing what the product can do in removal of toxins? And it's just amazing that I was going to write a book telling people, okay, eat this part of the vegetable and not this part because there's more toxins in this. And after about 3 weeks of doing research, I gave up. I said, this world's doomed. There's so many chemicals in everything. They add it to everything. So how do we get away with it? We're not going to be able to get people to stop doing it. You can't get away from it. So what do? We take responsibility for our own life. We go through a bottle of this, $55. When I joined the original company, it was $90 wholesale for this. It's $55 now. We got it as low as we can possibly get it in this system. Part of this, and this is why we're doing this Zoom. We got about 10 minutes left. The most important is everybody here had somebody tell them about the product, correct? Am I correct that nobody just got it through, through whatever, through their mind? That person was probably not worried about if you were going to say no. They were just telling you, hey, you got to hear about this. They weren't worried that, oh, this has a business attached to it and I don't want people to think I'm there for the money. They didn't care. They needed you to know about it. We need you to let other people know about it, however you do it. Heavy metals, toxins, they're out there. Are you aware that they cause these issues? That's why I played that video in the beginning. How many people are aware that blood sugar issues are tied to bioaccumulation of arsenic? Did your doctor tell you, Jim, is Jim still on? Jim, did your doctor tell you that you should stay away from arsenic because of your blood sugar issues? That's the crazy thing, is they've known that since 1982. I read the article and the study on it. 1982. Here we are 50 years later. Nobody knows about the heavy metals and toxins. So this is where we need all of you to let other people know. Whether they buy or not, it's up to them. Whether they join or not, that's up to them. But we need people to get the word out. And we need it done quickly, because there are people dying that could be alive because of our efforts. And that's one of the most important things. The other thing too, how many of you guys can memorize everything that I said? Right? If that was the benchmark for you being able to duplicate this, we'd be lost. But here's the cool thing. You can invite somebody. Hey, I heard this guy on a Zoom to say these crazy things, and you got to hear him too.
Doug, we have another question. Suzanne, you have a question.
That's what we have. Yeah.
Suzanne, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wanted to share that I got an email today, and it was on the subject of the dye that they use in MRIs. It's gadolinium. And this particular dye now have a gadolinium deposition disease. So people are having trouble with their kidneys and tinnitus, to say it, all of these different things. And here you're going to hopefully get better, and then you wind up with an additional problem. And this is why it's so important that we address toxins in a safe way on a daily basis.
I agree
you,
100%.
Suzanne. Thank you. So just so you know, for our guest, Suzanne is a very well renowned author on this topic as well. So, Suzanne, thank you for joining us this evening. Go ahead, Doug.
Excellent. Yeah. So one of the ideas is we have a team, right? We have a team here where everybody could be involved to whatever level they can be involved. Not everybody has to get on and do their own Zooms, memorize all this information. That's my thing. I can do that part. But you can get people to talk to Christine. There's all kinds of things that we can do where we can use our abilities to invite somebody. And that's when I talked to Ed about doing this Zoom, I wanted to get the point across that if you can just do one thing, if you can just invite somebody to come to a Zoom, if you can just invite them to check out the information, that's all you have to do. There's no risk in that. And you might tell somebody who tells somebody who tells the world. And for your efforts, you're using the product yourself, you're helping your family, but for your efforts, you can make a huge difference. And that's one of the things that the point of this Zoom is we could do this weekly, we could do this twice a week, people to come on and essentially make a massive change. This is a crusade, at least for me it is. I have a second chance on life, and I believe that there's millions of people out there that could also have a second chance on life if I can convince them to take the products just for a short period of time. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, Janelle.
Thank you, Douglas. So getting back to the comment about gadolinium. So my understanding as a healthcare provider is that, being used during MRIs, gadolinium has a tendency, the brain has a tendency to capture or keep gadolinium more than some of the other tissues in the body. So I guess my question is, do any of these products cross the blood-brain barrier?
Very
that
good
you know
question.
of?
Very good question. The metals for sure. Our products do not cross the blood-brain barrier. Even if they did, that's not necessarily the best thing to do. Your body has the ability to pull whatever toxins from the brain. Can you hear me?
Yep.
It can pull whatever toxins from the brain and pull them back into the bloodstream to go back to the liver. Everything in the body, all the cells are replaced at least once every 6 months. So all of the junk in that cell has to come back to the liver, be dealt with again, and sent out. Anything that enters the body goes to the liver first. And so the power of the body's search for homeostasis is the key. Not only homeostasis of pH, but homeostasis of electrolytic gradient. Here's the wonderful thing. You guys hear that calcium and magnesium and potassium are deficient, right? Calcium and magnesium have to have the right ratio. Nothing transports, hormones don't get transported without calcium and magnesium. Sodium and potassium have a ratio for a cell to be able to move energy in and out. When your body chooses mercury as its electrolyte over potassium or magnesium, it dumps the potassium and magnesium out of the system. So it's not because we're not eating enough. It's because it's dumping it because it has a better electrolyte. So the moment that mercury defender, it's out competing your body for its position in the cell defender. Now it's grounded. The body now has to bring some more potassium and magnesium into solution in the bloodstream. So what we have is we have a study that showed that magnesium and calcium and potassium come up 6 to 8 times where it's normally deficient 6 to 8 times. It comes up to normal as you displace or remove those heavy metals. Mercury being one of the most. Mercury trades with calcium and magnesium. Zinc is traded with arsenic and cadmium. And so it's because these heavy metals look a lot like the important metals in our body that causes disease, because they take the position of them. They're a doppelganger of the good metal. So if you can simply remove the ounce, a few months worth, your calcium and magnesium levels come up to normal, everything works better. Hormone production, balance, energy, sugar, the energy that's in the bloodstream, every one of your endocrine glands functions better with calcium magnesium ratios. So that's a direct function by simply binding up one mercury or lead or arsenic or cadmium. Does that make sense to you now?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you.
So I just want to jump in here, and this is there's no proof in this, but from the standpoint, many of you know, I went to Ireland and I started taking the products in January, and I had a lot of health issues going on. But I went on a horse crusade. I was trekking across Ireland on back of a horse, and what happened was my horse tripped and I fell. I tumbled. I fell on my elbow, on my shoulder, and Chip said that was a bone density check that I didn't plan for. And I only wonder what would have happened if I hadn't started. I landed on my hip and I popped right back up and got back on the horse with, use my plus relief. So I'm grateful for the person that shared this with me, Eddie Kowalski, because who knows what could have happened. You never know. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. Did we lose you, Chip? There you go. Doug, I'm sorry. Did we lose you? No, there you are. You just moved around on the screen. Do we want to close? And
Deanna has one question, then we'll close.
oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So with the dropper that comes with the cell defender, I know when I squeeze it, only so much, goes into the dropper. Is that considered one drop?
No, it's 10 drops. So about 1 inch of the product is equal to about 10 drops. But we have them in a medical grade plastic that we can't keep up with the rate of growth with glass. It's just impossible. The cost has to go up. And so medical grade polymer, very safe plastic, and doesn't have any leaching ability. And so those, you have to kind of turn it sideways. I wish I had one right here, but I don't. You turn it sideways, just squirt it in your mouth, 10 drops.
Okay, so 10 drops for the plastic, and for the bottle,
That's about 10 drops for one squeeze.
Drop. Oh, okay, good. So I've been doing good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I always had this thing at the end of my 5 days. If there was still stuff in the bottle, I'd shake it up and drink it all. Just
drink
bottoms up. That's right. Any extra that doesn't go in your bloodstream goes through your gut, and that's beneficial to go through your gut.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for everybody being on here. Is this something that you guys would like to do once a more people on? Maybe get 75, or I know I can fit 500 people on here. I can go up to like 12.
Absolutely, I do. My hand's up. We do a call on Thursday nights, a testimonial call. And Doug, that's great. If we could have you back every Tuesday, a couple times, that would be absolutely awesome. Thank you, Doug, for being here. We all have to, like you said, share this.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody needs help calling somebody, if somebody needs help understanding something, reach out. I'm vice president of the company, so I'm here to help but distributors help each other all the time. This is a family, and you'll see this the more you get into it, that this is a big family. We're all trying to get healthier. And so thanks again for being on. And yeah, we'll try to reschedule another one of these next week and kind of keep it going. But we need you. We absolutely do.
Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And Doug, thank you again for being with us. Love to listen. The time flies by.
Very much. It was
you,
really
Doug.
great, Doug. Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
was amazing.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you very
clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
The next Zoom meeting.
There's a Zoom meeting on Thursday nights. I'll put it in the chat and I'll put my contact there, and then Doug we'll get together and send out another Zoom meeting for perhaps Tuesday nights that we could reorganize this. Okay. And then there's also a spreadsheet, a Google Doc that Rich Cotter manages, and there's lots of info on there as well. So I can put some of that in the chat. I'm going to put my email in the chat as well, my phone. Shoot me a text and I'll get you the info, what you need. And of course, Doug said he's available as well. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks for coming tonight.
All right.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Good night, all. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.